You were taught to judge thoughts as moral or immoral, and to police yourself by suppressing the ones that do not fit your image. That rule looks safe. It keeps you compliant. It also keeps you weak. Carl Jung warned about the thought you delete first. The quick flash that contradicts your persona. The impulse to dominate. The envy you pretend you do not feel. The urge to retaliate. The suspicion that you enjoy control. You were trained to label it as bad, to deny it, to drown it in justification. Ignore that thought and you remain owned by it. It runs you from the dark because you refuse to face it in the light. There are two types of people. Those who perform goodness by denying their capacity for harm. Those who build goodness by mastering it. The first group is brittle. They are shocked by their own reactions. They project their disowned traits onto enemies. They oscillate between self-righteousness and quiet panic. The second group is stable. They know what lives in them, so they can negotiate with it. They can set boundaries without trauma. They do not need an audience to act with force. Jung called the disowned material the shadow. It is not mystical. It is everything in you that your family, culture, or own fear banned from awareness. Repressed anger, ambition, sexuality, pride, even talent if it threatened the people you wanted to please. You pushed it down because you wanted safety. The cost is straightforward. What you refuse to see surfaces in behavior when your guard drops, or it moves into projection where you chase it in everyone else. The thought itself is not the problem. The way you relate to it is. Stoicism makes the same point. An impression arrives. It is automatic. Then comes assent. That part is voluntary. The prefrontal cortex can observe a limbic impulse before it becomes action. Labeling a feeling reduces amygdala activation. This is not philosophy as decoration. It is how your nervous system works. Name the thought to reduce its power. Suppress it, and the system escalates. Jung warned that ideas can become autonomous. People do not always have ideas. Ideas can have people. That is what possession looks like in modern life. You act like a puppet and call it conviction. You moralize to hide the fact that you did not choose. The quickest way to get possessed is to insist that you are above it. The person who declares "I would never" is the same person who becomes unrecognizable when a trigger arrives. If you let yourself see the thought, you gain a gap. In that gap, choice returns. You can say, "I feel an impulse to crush, and I will channel it into decisive action without cruelty." Or, "I feel envy, which means I want a standard I am not meeting." Then you raise your standard instead of seeking a scalp. If you refuse to see it, you will do the same things with worse stories. You will call vengeance justice. You will call control leadership. You will call indulgence self-care. The belief that all your thoughts are your identity keeps you terrified of your own mind. It is also false. Cognitive science shows that intrusive thoughts are universal. They do not predict violence. Thought-action fusion is a distortion. People who believe that thinking a thing equals doing it end up more anxious, more avoidant, and less honest. They hide. They do not grow. The person who can witness a thought without kneeling to it holds the lever that moves behavior. You might object that looking at your dark material will corrupt you. The opposite is true. What you refuse to face controls you. What you examine becomes available to discipline. The human brain is an energy management device. Repression takes energy. It elevates baseline cortisol. It narrows attention. It makes you reactive. Integration conserves energy. It strengthens inhibitory control. It expands the options you can perceive under stress. Machiavelli understood this long before fMRI. He wrote that a ruler must learn how not to be good and to use that knowledge as necessity demands. Read that carefully. It is not a license for cruelty. It is a command to understand your full range so that you are not naive about the world. If you cannot be firm, you will be forced into weakness by people who are not sentimental. If you cannot say no, your yes is worthless. Here is the discomfort that separates winners from the polite. Your desire for power, status, security, and admiration did not appear because you are broken. Those drives are part of the species. Evolution does not select for purity. It selects for adaptation. Humans form hierarchies. We compete, cooperate, and punish. We imitate those above us and test those beside us. You can deny it and play a victim in games you refuse to admit exist. Or you can acknowledge it and play with eyes open. A modern persona rewards a surface of kindness. The market punishes softness that cannot hold a line. Watch how people respond when you stop apologizing for having boundaries. At first they test you, then they respect you. Then they seek your approval because it means something. The more you are willing to hold tension, the less you need to raise your voice. Power becomes quiet when it is real. Jung spoke of psychic epidemics, moments when societies become possessed by an idea they refuse to question. You see it when slogans replace thinking. You see it when people outsource their conscience to a crowd. Individuals who have not integrated their shadow cling to collectives for identity. They need the group to tell them they are good. They become dangerous precisely because they feel righteous. Loyalty to an image makes them blind to consequences. This is the personal version. You join a mental mob against yourself. You enforce policies in your head that you never signed. You punish the appearance of a thought that does not fit a script you did not write. The result is internal censorship, which becomes external compliance. You say yes when you mean no. You flatter when you should negotiate. You pretend you do not notice disrespect. Your life loses weight. There is a cleaner path. Admit the thought, then discipline it. That is a simple sentence with heavy demands. It means you stop trying to delete parts of yourself in order to be liked. It means you sort your motives in private, without confession rituals to earn social forgiveness. It means you accept that you are capable of things you dislike in others, and that this admission does not make you them. Binary contrasts help when they reveal stakes. Here is one worth holding. You can be harmless, or you can be peaceful. Harmless is an absence of capacity. Peaceful is capacity under control. Harmless people do safe things because they cannot do otherwise. Peaceful people do safe things because they choose to. Everyone senses the difference. Harmless people get managed. Peaceful people get consulted. The nervous system learns quickly from consequence. Every time you notice an aggressive impulse and convert it into a clear boundary, you reinforce a circuit of agency. Prefrontal control tightens, limbic reactivity drops. Every time you deny the impulse and smuggle it out later in sarcasm or sabotage, you teach your brain that honesty is unsafe. The cost compounds. This is not moralism. This is training. Ambition works the same way. The thought that says I want more is not a sin. It is a signal. Without it, you cannot calibrate. With it, you can translate vague craving into concrete aims. You can connect desire to competence. You can stop selling fake humility to people who benefit from your restraint. You can build skill until you do not need to explain yourself. What about guilt and shame? They exist for a reason. Guilt points to a standard you violated. It is useful when accurate. Shame points to a global sense of defect. It becomes toxic when it is based on thoughts rather than actions. If a thought triggers shame, inspect the rule you think you violated. Who gave you that rule? Does it serve your life now? You are allowed to revise internal law. In fact, you must. Projection is the tax you pay for refusing to do this work. You will see your disowned traits in people you dislike, and then try to fix them in others. You will fight for standards you secretly resent in yourself. Relationships become battlegrounds because you use other people to manage your unexamined material. Integration ends the tug of war. You can look at someone else's behavior without making it a referendum on your denied impulses. Do not confuse this with indulgence. Owning your darkness is not a license to act on it. It is leverage for restraint. The Stoics did not preach numbness. They trained perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have power over your mind, not outside events. The key is to see the event inside with the same clarity you bring to events outside. When an intrusive thought arrives, treat it like weather data. Note it, assess it, adjust course. No theatrics. If you want a practical rule that changes your posture today, use this. Observe, label, translate, decide. Observe the thought without commentary. Label its category: envy, aggression, vanity, fear. Translate it into the need or value underneath: respect, safety, status, autonomy. Then, decide the behavior that aligns with your principles and your long game. If you are proud of the decision a week later, you are probably on track. Here is the catch. This requires solitude. You cannot outsource it to influencers or friends. You sit with your mind until the noise falls enough for the signal to show. You will feel disgust at parts of yourself. Good. That means you have standards. Now apply those standards to action, not to self-erasure. If you avoid this, you will stay dependent on approval. People who control your image will control your behavior. Power begins when your opinion of yourself stops depending on denial. It matures when your self-respect survives contact with your impulses. It becomes influence when other people sense that you cannot be cornered by shame. They stop using moral panic to push you. They start meeting you where you actually stand. Most will not do this. They will keep curating a mask and calling it identity. They will quote high ideals while they crumble in private. They will attack anyone who talks about this because it threatens the bargain they made with fear. That is fine. Crowds exist to keep each other comfortable. You are not a crowd. Jung warned about the thought you are trying not to hear right now. The ugly whisper that challenges your favorite story about yourself. Do not run. Grip it by the collar. Ask what it wants. Acknowledge that you could act on it. Remember that you choose not to. Then move with complete calm. This is what self-possession looks like. Not bravado. Not confession. Control. If you are ready to build from here, accept the price. More awareness, less excuse. More responsibility, fewer alibis. More clarity, less performance. Watch how your relationships change when you no longer outsource your conscience. Watch how your work changes when you stop suppressing the parts of you that hunger for excellence. Watch what happens to your body when the fight inside ends. The door is narrow by design. This knowledge is not for everyone. It removes convenient stories. It exposes what you are capable of and expects you to act like an adult. If that sounds like relief, you are part of a small group. Keep going. When the forbidden thought shows up tomorrow, do not delete it. Observe it. Name it. Translate it. Decide. That is the entry fee to power that does not depend on an audience.